So our question, homework number 1, is ask for a 60-second audio, 60-second audio visual, or or 1 or 2 page typed reflection. Summarize the key ideas of our discussion this week and of the research we found. Okay. How could these materials influence the development of our deep empathy projects? Well, this past week we discussed feminist and religious ideas within Steinbeck's book, The Grapes of Wrath. We looked at the book through these two theoretical perspectives, and the one that we're going to be most focusing on is not religious, and more so the feminist, since the Deep Empathy Project, since feminism coincides with the Deep Empathy project, then that's what we are being asked to do. So some of the things that we discussed with my group were the fact that it seemed as though women, such as Ma, were portrayed in a sense where the stereotypes between men and women actually took a huge shift, whereby they assumed the opposite gender roles. So now Ma was kind of the leader of the pack, whereas Pajod was followed Mom's orders, and we saw it throughout the textbook when we were doing the question, which said to create a pathway. I think that was what the question was. We saw that Ma, at the beginning, she assumed the role of assumed the stereotypical role of women as like the obedient and domestic, culted domesticity, or the angel in the house role. But as the story progresses and they actually take a shift out of the home nature, and they're out on the road on their journey, that's when we see Ma actually begin to gain power. And one of the examples that really clung on to me was the part where Tom comes back and he says that he's actually going to leave, so that they actually going to leave since they don't have enough room on the car to hold Tom as well. But Ma is like, no way, that's not going to happen. We're not leaving unless you come with us. And she gets the jack from the car, and she's willing to, she says that she's willing to kill Pa if he even tries to go against her wishes. So that's where we really see her gain power, because Pa's like, she'll do it, she really will kill me, so I'm just gonna let her make the decision and not bother with it. And we see this mentality go throughout the novel. There's that one. Another example is when Ma yells at the policeman and says, that Grandma Jode is really sick, when Grandma Jode's actually dead. She's taking that power position. She's exerting her power over over the authority, and not just that they're men, the policemen are men, but also this female is exerting her power over government. So that's really interesting to see. Also, another example that I wanted to talk about, but that we try to refrain from since we use a lot, is the ending. Rose of Sharon. She doesn't really seem like a feminist character, and she doesn't really seem to argue for feminism. And I only say this because she seems to affirm stereotypes of women. She's, very delicate. Just throughout the story of the group's progress, she seems very whiny. Whiny. I'm doing homework. The teacher says that we can do a video, so I thought it'd be interesting to do it this way. Anyways, Rose is Sharon throughout the story. She's very whiny. She kind of just listens to the people around her surroundings, especially with Connie. Connie, she seems to rely on Connie and all the future choices and plans that he has, such as he's gonna start studying up, and then he'll get a job, and then they can buy their White House and whatnot. And she seems to buy into that. She doesn't really question the male figure. She kind of just goes with it and assumes that the position of the helpless woman who needs her man to provide for her, which is very unlike Majod, as I've explained before. But the interesting thing is, in Steinbeck's book, the ending, which has so much meaning, not only through the feminist perspective, but from perspectives of but from other perspectives such as Marxism, and others. I'm not going to get into that, but through the feminist perspective, it seems that Steinbeck is saying that perhaps women are where hope actually lies in, since they are able to procreate. I guess that's more on a literal analysis, but on a deeper analysis, maybe it's just saying that women need to gain. There needs to be an equal playing field. There needs to be there should have been more equality during the time that Steinbeck wrote the book, since Rosa Sharon is the one who has the power at the end. She's the one who saves the life of the dying man. It's not man who saves the life of the dying man. You don't see Pajod letting the dying man suck on his nipple. That's not how it works. It's Rosa Sharon, and that perhaps is this intimation coming from Steinbeck that women is where the power really lies in, and not the male figure. Maybe that we've gotten it all wrong. And I want to tie this back to. I forgot what lens that was. It was It was the lens where psychoanalytic. Yes, I want to tie it back to psychoanalytic. I got the article when we did the group article discussion. I got the article on Steinbeck's life, and his biography, and I remember reading one sentence where it said that his mother was very intelligent and she taught him. And I thought that this harkened back to Rosa Sharon. It was a connection that Steinbeck made with Rosa Sharon. To me, Rosa Sharon assumed the role of his mother, and how she was able to basically breathe literature life and educational life into Steinbeck. So Steinbeck is using Rosa Sharon to breathe life into this man. So I thought Rosa Sharon was resembled his Steinbeck's mother. That's what I thought. And how this is going to help with my deep empathy project. Well, it basically opened the door to my project, since I will most likely be taking a feminist. I'll be looking through the book from a feminist view, and so obviously this presents several examples for me to look back onto when I write my paper. But Also, just giving me a general feeling. It'll be really helpful since I already have a place to start with. I guess I don't really know how else it could help me. Let me think. Well, one thing I'll say is, having to map out. No. That doesn't work. No. Yeah, I guess that's it. Okay, done. Homework number 1. Aaron Chen.